Hello, my name's Hemingway Jones. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to do some handwriting practice together. Whether you're someone who writes regularly or is reacquainting yourself with the wonderful art of cursive writing, it's always a nice opportunity to work together with someone. Today I'm going to work on writing small and precise and in linking my words together. Also, I have some very special tools and a really exciting pen to share with you as well. So we'll talk a bit about that, the ink, the paper, and everything else. So join me today, won't you, as we work together to make our cursive handwriting even more elegant. Okay, as I always do, I love to run through the tools I'll be using. And today I am using this Campus B paper by Kokuyo, which is really nice paper. It's fantastic quality, and this particular iteration of it has some nice features, like this very soft binding. So if you're writing on the other side of the page, it doesn't hurt the side of your hand, which is very nice. It also is pre-perforated, which is nice as well. So it has a really nice finish on it, very smooth, very slick, and very fun and easy to write with. It also has, I believe, 6mm high lines, with the top line having extra space for title, and you can also date it as well if you want to show your progress as you go. So very nice paper, very excited to be using it. And of course I also have my shop towel. Everyone needs a shop towel if you're into fountain pens. You can get a lot of use out of these. They're not wasteful. Even when they're covered in ink, as this one is, it's still very, very absorbent. So keep one of these handy. And of course, the main feature today is this vintage Italian fountain pen, which I will be speaking about in more detail in a few moments. But I also want to mention that I filled it with this amazing Tacha Kawaii with the Hokusai Great Wave on the cover. It's a beautiful box for fountain pen ink. I don't always save the boxes, but this one I absolutely had to. I'm a big Hokusai fan. I also love this color. As you'll see, it has a bit of indigo. It reminds me of a pair of dark wash jeans, which are my favorite. I only wear dark wash for the most part. Levi's, my favorite jeans, usually 501s. Okay, let's speak a little bit about this amazing Italian fountain pen that I picked up. It's vintage, beautiful material. I love the marble effect. It's a bit of gold accents. It's pretty enough. It's also a button filler, which is very nice. But that's not the main point. The main point of this fountain pen is it has a very special nib. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? That, of course, is a glass nib, the kind you would expect to find on a dip pen. But in this case, here it is in a fountain pen, and to tell you the truth, I was a little skeptical when this arrived. I wondered if it would actually work. My first concern was whether I'd even be able to fill it. So what I did was I immersed the entire thing into the ink up to about here, worked the button a few times, waited several seconds for it to flow in, and it seemed to work fine. And then of course cleaned it up very thoroughly, including around this nib. But I also learned, in using this for about a week now, that there's a few little quaint idiosyncrasies with this pen, as there are with any pen. But this one, it's very important that you store it vertically. It does not like to be horizontal. It seems as if the feed is always filling this glass nib. So the reason we have our shop towel is anytime I get ready to write with it, I sort of clean it all over again. Just to make sure there's not too much excess. And truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't burp up on us even in the course of what we're doing today. But with all those idiosyncrasies, it is an amazing extra fine. It is incredibly smooth, and it's a blast to write with. So you have to take the positives with the negatives. So one of the things is that I'm not really sure who made this pen. I only know that it's Italian. And since it is Italian, I'm going to make another assumption about it. And I don't know whether this is right, but I think it's a fairly good assumption. Makes a good scribing noise too, do you hear that? But the experience is very, very pleasant, very smooth, very fine. You can see it's very much an extra fine. You see, I'm keeping it very vertical. So, what my assumption about this fountain pen is that this gorgeous glass nib was made in Murano. I'm just assuming that because this type of nib was made in Murano for hundreds of years. In fact, I have a traditional dip fountain pen from Murano that has a nearly identical nib. And it has a sort of fluting on it that comes to the point that feeds the ink down it. And it's very, very effective as a dip pen to hold quite a bit of ink. And it's surprisingly effective as a fountain pen. So Murano is an island. It's about 20 minutes or so by Vaporetto away from Venice. It's its own island, and it's the center of Venetian glass making. Now, Venice has been famous for making glass for almost, well, I'd say since the 8th century, I believe is the earliest recorded time of it. And then for years it was made in the main island of Venice. And in 1291, there was a law that was passed there where all the furnaces had to be moved to Murano for glass making. Now, like many laws, it sounded like a safety law, but it may have also been about control. Because glass was an amazing commodity in those days, and Venetian glass was the best. And there were several secrets to Venetian glass making. And in fact, if you were a Venetian glassmaker and you tried to escape Venice, they would stop you and they would make sure you didn't escape Venice. Let's put it that way. You'd probably end up in the prison on the other side of the Bridge of Sighs. So, yeah, it was a death penalty if you tried to take the state secrets of glassmaking out of Venice. So they moved it to Murano because it was its own island and it would be much easier to control people. So pretty interesting there. But in recent memory, and since the days of the Grand Tour, many people would bring home glass dip pens from Murano, as I did. And it was not that easy to bring something home like that on a plane. Okay, so let's do some handwriting practice. And some of this is just sort of the way I think when I write. And if you're watching, and if you're not that happy with the way you write, just know neither am I. This has always been a challenge for me. And in fact, I have an issue where literally my thumb and my first finger are both numb. So it's a little hard for me to steer a pen, but I do just enjoy it so much. And it's so fun to obsess over it. But if you have any kind of issue as well, just know that I empathize with you completely, because it's a little bit of a struggle for me to write. But you don't have to write perfectly. I think it's better for us all to accept the way we write, to come to terms that we all have limitations and our handwriting is aesthetic to us and it's just as good as we can get it. And sometimes that's enough. So you see here, I love to start rooted to the line. I just feel like handwriting should come up from the line when you initiate it and get your sentence going. So that works for most letters. Maybe a little tougher for something like a P, but you can still do it. An S, as well. Just sort of rooted to that line. And I always look at these lines as being broken into sort of sections, like almost near the top for my capital letters, maybe 3/4 of the way for my higher letters, and then right about the middle for my lowercase. That's how I look at it. So there you go. I'm pretty happy with that. So one of the things I like to do when I practice my penmanship is I like to sort of push myself to write slightly differently than I normally do. And I thought today I would see it sort of like a musical exercise where if you play rock, maybe you try playing country, because there's a technique you might pick up in shocking your perspective. And that's what I want to do today with my handwriting, because I generally write pretty large. I tend to write like this. If given my device, given my choice, I'm going to write rather large, even beyond the lines. And I'm sure you've seen me write like this in my B-roll. But I thought I would try writing small, just to shock my perspective a little bit and see how I do it. So let's try. So once again, starting at that line and writing very small. Now, I've always liked my W. It's really tough for me to rein my W in. I want to go up into the second line, but I really like that. You see already some variation. So one of my hobgoblins is that I am rarely consistent. If I wrote 4 different W's on a page, they'd probably be written in 4 different ways. Now, maybe that's good. Maybe it shows creativity, but I rather wish I was more uniform. It's the same with my M's. So here, I'm starting to be happier with my C's. My capital C's are something that I obsess over, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better about them because I've been a little bit more consistent with making them sort of that half crescent, half moon style. Here's another W. Okay. See, that F I feel really good about. I like that. Now, my style is very much rooted in Palmer, but it's been sort of changed over the years with all the different influences that I see in historic documents and everywhere else where I'm borrowing letters. Okay, I'm trying to get smaller. Now, where it's a challenge is on something like that R in R, because it needs a few more strokes. Here comes another R. I'm gonna try to do it. Yeah, see? That's hard for me. So with this, you go to the U and you go up, loop around, up, point, and then plummet to the ground and race up. So I'll do it a little larger so you know what I'm referring to. So you go into the U here, and then here's your R. So little loop, up, point, and then a little ramp. And alternatively, I still like to do this R, where I just go down, come up, kind of finish it off like that. That's actually kind of dreadful, but I usually do better. So maybe more like that. I really like that at the end of a word, and especially at the end of a sentence. I think it's kind of a neat way to end. So how small can you write? Are you good at this? I struggle. Also with this pen, it's so smooth and it's kind of fast. So I have to kind of rein it in and catch up with it. Now, do you see the benefits of this pen? It's like a dip pen, but we haven't had to dip it once. Now, it doesn't hold a whole bunch of ink, so probably we'll have to refill it very soon. It's not like it lasts as long as a typical fountain pen, it seems, and I think it's because it puts quite a bit of ink down. And I'm also pretty sure if you just touch the nib here, it would eventually all run out. It's just a very flowing experience, but it also makes it a lot of fun. I highly recommend you get on eBay or Peyton Street Pens or somewhere and find yourself a glass nibbed vintage fountain pen. It's a lot of fun. Here comes another W. Okay, what I'm learning here is that I'm not very disciplined with reining in my writing. I feel like my size is all over the place, that it's sort of larger here, medium here, it's getting more small here, and certainly those more refined letters, small S's, small R's, are very much a challenge. Very much a challenge. But I think it's aesthetically pleasing. I think we often hear that if you write larger, your handwriting looks better. But I'm not sure that's the case. I think my handwriting looks pretty good small. I'm also very long with my cross T's. This leads to me doing the links that I love to do, like this. The T in host, and then over to that. Where the challenge is getting the spacing between the words correct. I didn't quite do it there. Wow, this pen is so fast. So once again, here I did better. Feeling good about that. Half and then cross the T, go down to the N. No. Here I can go all the way over here knowing that I'm going to do that. And then, oh, you know what? I'm going to squeeze it in because I love going from a T to an F. I go here and I loop down like that. I have to say something else about this pen. It's very much an extra fine. It also sort of varies the experience. It's a bit finer on certain sides than the other. So if you don't like the way it feels, you can sort of turn it a bit. It is a bit smoother on some of its facets, if you will. Now here, if I want to do the link, I have to do shall. I'll go to the H rather than to the S. This is fun though. See, it's very quiet right now, so it's perfect for a little bit of handwriting practice. I missed. There we go. Oh, you know what? It's crowns, not coins. It's hard to do this while you write. But it's so fun. I think that looks really pretty. I'm really happy with that. I feel like if I did a letter like this for someone, I would be very, very pleased. I never noticed how many W's are in this. Okay, this is going to be fun. So I'm going to go from this T to a D. So it's kind of, it almost looks like a colonial D. Have you seen those in my historic handwriting videos? They sort of look like that. Just sort of looks like an L. It's amazing how much your brain fills in. You could probably substitute F's for S's, and your brain would fill it in. They used to write like that in the old days. Wow, this pen is amazing. You can write quite fast with this. Or at least let me say that I feel I can write fast with it. Wow. One of the things I like to do is if I'm unhappy with a letter, like a T or something, I don't go any further. I keep repeating it until I feel better about it. Although, I can never make it exactly the same way twice. Even my simple T's, the ones that look like print letters, I can't do it. And if I try to get fancy, I have a really tough time. My internal auditor starts to tell me I'm being too fancy with it, and I just aesthetically don't like it at all. It just really bothers me. Or I get lost like I just did there. But it's okay to make mistakes. Practice is all about making mistakes. But one of the things is, if you recall, if you've ever taken a handwriting course, you often begin by doing squiggles across the page, like a endless letter L. And I think that's great, probably to get the flow of cursive, to sort of get the music, the meter, the tempo. But I'm not sure that's how you learn to write. Maybe for the basics, I'm trying to do O's and I'm really not doing them. I did this, I think, for a whole year in grammar school back in Philadelphia. By the way, can we speak about this pen again? It hasn't run out of ink. Isn't this brilliant? I mean, it's so great to have a dip pen and you don't have to dip it. I mean, it's so much fun. So you can do these sort of strokes to loosen up your hand for writing. But I personally think that the best exercise for writing is writing. Wow, this is so fast. Wow, this is so fast. So I think it's a lot of fun to mix it up, to practice different ways of linking your letters together. Just get some different styles into your writing. I think if you get a quiet time and you can devote a bit of focus to your writing, it just helps you to expand your different techniques, your different letter forms, and just enjoy it. Oh wow, this is a blast. I think one of the things that I can't emphasize enough is that my handwriting looks slightly different with different pens. It always looks the same, no matter how I change my grip or anything else. My handwriting looks like me, it looks like mine, but within that scope of what my handwriting is, there is certainly variations. And depending on the pen and how well I can grip it and how well my hand's doing that day, it looks a certain way. Certainly with my medium nibbed pens like my Waterman crayons, my handwriting looks probably the most recognizably me. But as I push myself into extra fine territory, as I've been doing lately, getting into slimmer and more elegant pens, or just totally strange and outlying pens like this gorgeous Italian pen, my handwriting takes on a new character. Nonetheless, it's still me. It still looks like me. But it is fun to write so small and to still maintain those letter forms. I guess it's almost like your font size, right? I probably normally write in an 18-point font, and this is like writing in 9. And I think that's a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. And it's a different expression of my hand. It's almost like seeing it shrunken down on a copy machine. But I like it. Or sized down in Photoshop. This pen, though, it's a lot of fun. You can see all the ink at the end. The beautiful glass that complements the body perfectly. It's a stupendous pen, and it's a lot of fun. I just think it's great. Have a little time for yourself. Gather your thoughts, stay calm, and write. So, I hope you enjoyed this little writing session with me. I hope your penmanship is coming along. I hope you're enjoying using your pens. I hope you're staying inspired. So thank you for watching, and if you've reached this point, please subscribe. I have all sorts of videos on this channel, from handwriting to journals, journaling to lists, pen reviews, all sorts of things. So please subscribe, and also consider becoming a member if you really want to support the channel even more. The Illuminati and Cognoscenti members of this channel have a pen pal group, so that's another way to write. And in fact, we'll be speaking about writing letters very soon on this channel, so stick around for that. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show each week, so I can promise you we will see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care.